Happy St. Patrick's Day to all of those that are Irish out there. We got the green theme going today. It is March 17, 2026. He is the host of the Sports Room Talk Show, Under the Max. I am Brandon Lewis, the host of Brandon's World. Josh, we said last week was an incredible week in sports. Well, we had an incredible weekend in sports and a lot of news for the middle of March this time of year.
Yeah, and we got a significant trade earlier this afternoon, which I surely wasn't expecting, but clearly the Denver Broncos fully believe in Bo Nix because you go out and get Jaylen Waddle. Yeah, that's sending a message loud and clear. But I will say this, it's not just the ramifications of going out and getting Jaylen Waddle that interests me. It's think about your team, whether they're going to move AJ Brown or not. And the team that's most connected to AJ is, of course, New England. If Miami got all of that for Jaylen Waddle, what's the asking price going to be for AJ Brown if you're New England?
There's some thoughts out there. AJ Brown, everybody is saying is an older player. Do you know AJ Brown's only a year older than Jaylen Waddle? So the age difference to me is not that much. I personally believe that AJ Brown is a better overall player than Jaylen Waddle. Jaylen Waddle can be a number one edge wide receiver, very similar to Devontae Smith in Philadelphia. We don't know yet if he truly is one. And it'll be interesting because Sean Payton has never really had two dominant wide receivers, even dating back to New Orleans. And we saw Cortland Sutton, I would argue, take a step back last year to Franklin, the other receiver on the other side, who really became a focal point of that offense. Evan Ingram was big in that offense. I expect RJ Harvey in year two now to sort of take over that running back role. So how Waddle fits in along with Cortland Sutton's going to be interesting.
And J.K. Dobbins, don't forget.
Well, J.K. Dobbins is a free agent, I believe. I don't think J.K. Dobbins is going to be back in Denver. Now, I could be wrong on that. I'll double check. But I'm interested to see, do they float Cortland Sutton out there now as trade bait?
I don't think so. I think they made this trade because they want to pair Cortland Sutton and Jaylen Waddle together. And, Denver, you look at them, they were already one of the top teams in the AFC last season. Obviously, they were the number one seed. They beat Buffalo in an absolute thriller, 33-30. Of course, you had the controversial, was it a catch, was it a reception, as we said in our intro.
Yes.
But that point aside, Denver showed that they are here and they are legitimate. And this trade really signals that to me that they believe that.
So I want to correct actually both of those real quick. So we were kind of both right on Dobbins. He was a free agent. Denver actually re-signed him to a 2-year deal, so he is back.
Okay. So I like this for Denver because Bo Nix will be back at some point. Will it necessarily be at the start of the season? Don't know.
That's the thing. We haven't heard anything. All the offseason talk has been about Patrick Mahomes and obviously what Kansas City did this week, going out and getting Justin Fields. Denver, there's been no word on Bo Nix. I kind of feel like that tells me that they believe going in he's going to be healthy for the start of the year. Or they would have, I thought, been more aggressive in going after a backup quarterback.
Which I kind of like that they haven't really said anything because it kind of keeps people in the dark. What if he's not healthy and they don't want people to know necessarily?
Well, also, the weird thing is, remember when Sean Payton said, or I think it was Bo Nix who said something about his knee, and Sean Payton responded something about Bo Nix saying, oh, no, that's not true, or something with Bo Nix's medicals after the knee procedure. I remember something about it that was a little awkward.
That doesn't sound familiar. You could be right though, but you know, it's going to be interesting to see how Jaylen Waddle goes from, being in the speed type of offense that
Oh,
they
here
will
we go. So
go.
so that's right. Remember this? Sean Payton, when Bo Nix suffered the injury, claimed the injury was inevitable due to a pre-existing condition. Bo Nix refuted this in the media, basically saying it was a one-time break, and he was unhappy over his injury history being shared by Sean Payton that he had previous ankle issues.
Huh. So that is an interesting spin on it, or I shouldn't say a spin on it. You know what I mean there. But as I was saying, it will be very interesting to see how Jaylen Waddle adjusts from being not just in a speed style offense like what they had in Miami with him and Tyreek and Devon Achane, but you're going from, the sunny, warm temperatures of Miami to Denver, where in the winter it could be a blizzard. It's going to be
But it
freezing.
could also be 60 degrees. I mean,
Yeah, but
so by the way,
right.
this year, Denver is at a record. Do you know Denver almost hit 90 degrees the other day?
No. I
Denver is at a record winter where they just got some snow a couple weeks ago, but it was the lowest snow Denver's had in 20 years. Fun fact.
Interesting. But, Denver is, as I understand it, they want to build a new dome stadium,
which is supposedly going to be right where the old stadium is, or at least right next to it.
I don't think so. I think it's in a different part, but I believe it's still downtown. But nonetheless, looking at this from Miami's perspective, this signals to me it's a full-on rebuild. But at the same time, who the hell is Malik Willis going to throw the ball to?
Well, whoever they draft in the first round with one of their 2 first-round picks.
Because you look at their current wide receiver room, there's nobody that really jumps off the page.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Jeff Hafley comes from Green Bay, where outside of this year, they didn't really invest in wide receivers. I think Miami is sort of signaling we're going to be in for a soft tank, but we're in Miami, so we want to be entertaining and we want to get people to the games. So let's bring in Malik Willis. But I said it when they signed him, when they moved off Tyreek Hill. I remember coming on this show and saying, Jaylen Waddle makes too much money for a bad team. They should move off him. And for Denver now, Jaylen Waddle coming aboard, they absolutely do believe they are perennial Super Bowl contenders. My thing with Denver is last year in the AFC Championship game, the football gods basically told them, no, you do not deserve to go to the Super Bowl this year because not only did your quarterback get hurt, but then you went for it on that 4th and 1. You didn't get it. The game turns into a blizzard in the second half. Will Woods kicks that field goal, and it was partially blocked or would have tied the game. And so it was consecutive no, no, no from the football gods to the Denver Broncos. And now all of a sudden, Patrick Mahomes could be healthy again for the Chiefs. Mike McDaniel, the former Dolphins coach, actually, is now the offensive coordinator for the Chargers. We've already talked about what the Raiders have done this offseason. I kept saying all, season for the Oklahoma City Thunder last year in the NBA, take advantage of your window, win the championship now. I sort of feel like maybe it's unfair. I know you're higher on the Broncos than me, but I felt like last year was Denver's chance and they didn't take advantage of the opportunity. And I do feel the same way about New England as well, by the way.
Oh, I 100% agree with you on New England. I don't agree with you about Denver. I think their window is just now opening. I was much higher on Jacksonville. I made a Super Bowl lock saying it's going to be Jacksonville, Chicago, but who knows if Brian Thomas is going to get traded. As you said, they've lost some pieces. Travis Etienne's not there, so I'm not as high on the Jaguars now. If I had to pick a Super Bowl favorite out of the AFC, it is the Denver Broncos.
If I had to pick a Super Bowl favorite out of the AFC right now, and by the way, Josh, just so you know, your microphone is once again popping a little bit on my back end, so you may have to disconnect it and reconnect it. I'm not so sure. Um, if I had to pick a Super Bowl favorite right now in the AFC for me personally, I think it's two teams, and neither of them are Denver. I think it's Buffalo, and I think it's the Chargers because I think Mike McDaniel is going to be that big of an upgrade for Justin Herbert, and I think this is the year. If the Chargers win a playoff game this year, then we cannot start talking about Justin Herbert like he's a weak quarterback anymore.
Oh, I agree with you. I would take the Houston Texans as still a top 5 Super Bowl contender.
Yeah, I mean, their defense is good. I love the move they made today. They go out and they get Wyatt Teller. My question for Houston is, look at that division they're in now. It's not a cupcake anymore. Jacksonville is certainly going to be right there, though they haven't watched some pieces on defense. But if William Cohen is the mad scientist that fixed Trevor Lawrence, they're going to be good again. We don't know what's going on with the Colts, obviously, with Daniel Jones, but they were on the precipice of being maybe the number 1 seed in the AFC before he suffered an injury a year ago. And I got to tell you, the Tennessee Titans feel like a team that's going to make I don't know if they're going to make a major jump or not, but they feel like a team that's not a basement team anymore in the AFC South.
Mel Kiper, in his latest mock draft, I think has the Titans taking Jeremiah Love number 4 overall.
I get it. If I'm Tennessee, I think I got to take an offensive lineman. No,
I don't know. We can get into that later. But you know, like I said, with Miami, it's like it's like that Spider-Man meme, but there's 3 of them because it's not just Miami, it's the Jets and it's the Cardinals. They're all trying to tank for Arch Manning.
Is Arizona?
I think so.
I mean, they have pieces. We'll see how good Michael Ford is that coach. If they're going to win games with Jacoby Brissett, I don't think they're going to be in the Arch Manning sweepstakes.
I do.
All right, well, we'll get to that another day. Speaking of a team that wishes they're not going to be in the Arch Manning sweepstakes, Kyler Murray, who has signed a 1-year deal for the minimum because, speaking of the Arizona Cardinals, they're paying him to not be on their team next year. But the reports are that when Kevin O'Connell was pitching Kyler Murray to Minnesota, he told Kyler that he believes that he was the only quarterback in the free agency market who could be the long-term answer for Minnesota, which, regardless of what you feel about J.J. McCarthy, to me, I think Minnesota, and again, I like Kyler Murray. I've liked him more than most people. I think he's talented. I think Minnesota is moving on from JJ way too quickly here. He missed his old rookie year because of the knee injury. He has struggled with injuries. He obviously only played in 9 games a year ago. And no, he wasn't great, but he had moments. And to me, if Kevin O'Connell is this great quarterback whisperer, wouldn't you want to focus on your investment unless you're saying that was the old GM's pick? I didn't like J.J. McCarthy because that's my only read here.
Yeah, I don't get it. Unless they're like taking the word of Justin Jefferson into account, which kind of makes sense because he's your big-time wide receiver. He's one of the top. He's a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL, I would say. And if he's frustrated with JJ and he's like, I'd rather play with Kyler, you have to take that into account.
Yeah, but here's the thing. The Vikings won 9 games last year with J.J. McCarthy, Carson Wentz, and Max Crosby starting at quarterback. And I like Kyler. Again, I thought, silly me, I had picked the Arizona Cardinals to be the surprise team of the week 2 years in a row, and it hasn't worked out. So I thought when Kyler's been on the field, he hasn't been a disaster. But when you're in a division with Jared Goff and Jordan Love and Caleb Williams. I don't know how much of an upgrade Kyler Murray really is to help you get over the hump.
I I think Kyler is a bit of an upgrade because he
Yeah, again, but for me, the upgrade is like, are you going from a C or a C plus to a B minus? Like that's how I look at it.
yeah, it's not like you're going from a C plus to an A minus or
Yeah.
anything.
Now again, could Kyler play like the way Sam Darnold played and win 14 games and the Vikings could be viewed as perennial contenders? Sure. But even if Kyler Murray does play at a Sam Darnold level, I still don't think Minnesota's the second best team in that division because I think if Detroit's healthy, them and Chicago, to me, are battling for the NFC North crown. And Green Bay is very good. We'll see how good they can be depending on when Micah Parsons gets back.
Yeah. And even I will say this, even if Sam Darnold has a bit of a drop off this season with Seattle, I still think Minnesota is going to look bad for letting him walk out the door.
See, here's my take, and this will be my take all along, and I will defend the Vikings on this. You drafted JJ McCarthy. What was it? Number 9 overall. They traded up.
No,
was it 9 or 10? I know they traded up one spot.
I think it was number 10.
Okay. Regardless, he drafted them high in the first round, the way Atlanta did with Michael Penix in that same draft class. I think it was 9 because Penix went 8 to Atlanta. Minnesota traded up one spot with the Jets to go get him at 9.
I think it was number 10.
I'll double check on that when I'm done talking here. My point is, you put all this investment in for JJ. I know he got hurt his rookie year, which starts. Which my other point is, if JJ McCarthy doesn't get hurt in the preseason of his rookie year, are we sure that Sam Darnold starts the whole year? Because I think they would have started JJ maybe halfway through year 1. And then last year, JJ, he struggled early, got hurt. Carson Wentz came in. And I thought by the end of the year, McCarthy showed some moments. Clearly, the Vikings did not think so.
By the way, I just looked it up. It was 10th overall.
Okay, thank you.
In the 2024 NFL draft.
Yep.
I didn't think Penix was in the 2020. Oh, yeah, because they played.
It was the grade 6 is what I've called it. Caleb, Jaden, Drake. And then you obviously have
Bo Nix,
and McCarthy. And Bo Nix was the 6th quarterback taken.
That's right. Yeah. And it was also because JJ and Penix had just played each other in the national championship.
And the biggest thing on JJ McCarthy, the scouts didn't love JJ McCarthy, but everybody said, oh, JJ's a winner. But everybody said he handed the football off. He didn't throw one in tight windows. But I just, it would be different to me if JJ McCarthy was healthy and he played bad and the Vikings were, in a position to draft high. They still won 9 games a year ago. Now, again, Kyler could be very good for them. I think the scheme fits a little weird. I'm interested to see Kevin O'Connell now with a mobile quarterback.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see if they add more like designed quarterback runs to the offense.
And here's the problem. And, I don't think JJ McCarthy should ask for a trade at all because we've seen the value of what backup quarterbacks have done. Obviously, we saw what Mac Jones did last year for San Francisco, and Kyler has an injury history himself. So is it likely JJ McCarthy is going to start at least one game for the Vikings this year? I would say yes. But if I'm JJ, and I do read this report that says that Kevin O'Connell was thinking of Kyler Murray as the long-term answer, now I'm thinking, oh, great, they don't believe in me. So either you, A, show them that they should believe in you, or B, probably at the end of this year, you have to ask out.
I would think so. It's interesting, like, JJ's in this position. Anthony Richardson is in a similar position in Indianapolis. I believe he asked for a trade.
Yeah, and the Colts reportedly are going to grant it if they find the right partner. They're done with Anthony Richardson, who I think can still play in this league. I'm not going to give up on Anthony Richardson either. Like, I think the issue with quarterbacks in today's NFL, everybody says we don't have enough great quarterbacks. There's a quarterback shortage. It's because we're giving up on these guys way too quickly.
Yeah. Think about it. Like, if the Bears had theoretically given up on Caleb after his disastrous rookie season, I don't think they would have had the great season they had this season or
No,
this
I,
year.
I don't even think they're a playoff team. And I
No.
think Caleb Williams went from one of the most heavily scrutinized quarterbacks. Remember, there was all the talk about he doesn't want to watch film. He's a bad teammate. There was the nails incident in college at USC. He had this sort of bad rap coming into the league. And he went from that to, I think universally right now, he's considered the top 10 quarterback.
Yeah, I would say so. But no, you bring up an interesting point, and I'll bring it back to Kyler, because you had that whole thing in Arizona where he's like, no, I don't want to watch film. I don't want to study the game plan. Like, I'd rather
And
wait
to
for Call
Kyler's
of
point,
Duty.
I would argue because when Jonathan Gannon got there, I thought Kyler's career with Arizona was over. And he lasted what, another 2-3 seasons? I think it was 2 seasons Gannon was there with Kyler.
Yeah,
And it was rocky in the beginning, but I felt like Kyler played well under Drew Penning's system. Again, he's the new offensive coordinator in Detroit. Very similar system to what Kevin O'Connell runs in Minnesota. But the concern I have with Kyler Murray going to Minnesota is, are you going to have to play Chicago and Green Bay in November and December, cold weather? Because that's where Kyler's not at his best.
that I agree with. Man, that Caleb Kyler matchup is going to be really good, though.
Well, think about all of the guys right now in the NFC North who are playing quarterback. Kyler Murray, former number 1 overall pick. Caleb Williams, current number 1 overall pick 2 years ago on the same team. Jared Goff, former number 1 overall pick for the Rams. Jordan Love, obviously first round pick for the Packers. So I may be wrong here, but off the top of my head, I think that is the only division in pro football where all 4 quarterbacks that are going to be starters were taken in the first round.
I believe you are correct.